as we embark on a new service, definitely starting within a few months. So just a little bit about our team. Um, as you all know, we're led by Kristen Sakota. She is our director of Department of Arts and Culture. The good thing about Kristen is that she has over 25 years of experience as an executive, an attorney, uh, performing artist. Her work spans through public policy, legislation, philanthropy, arts administration, law, entertainment, and creative careers. And before I introduce everything else, we do have just a few logistics. If everyone can do me a favor, type your name and your organization in the chat. Also, too, when we get to the question and answer, even throughout the entire presentation, I just ask that everyone remain on mute. And when we get to the question and answer, use the raise hand function. So that way we ensure that everyone is called upon. All right. So this is our other team members that allow uh, this process to go forward. So I just want to say personally, thank you. Thank you to Heather, Brandon, Denise, Christopher, Greg, and Irina. Thank you all for the hard work you do in allowing this process to go forward. And this is your team. So any questions, um, any other information you need, these are the folk that'll be able to help you out. All right, let's start with our purpose. So we're going to talk about purpose, program overview, and the availability of funds. So purpose. Our purpose is to issue the request for proposals, to solicit proposals for a contract with organizations that can provide arts instruction for youth and instruction and professional development for adults supporting youth in institutions. So as you can see, we bold contract with organizations. Um, we don't want to deter individuals from applying for any of the funding. We prefer more of the organizations because of the infrastructure and the demands within our scope of work and within the RFP, to where the organizations are more set up to produce the outcomes that are being asked. Program overview. We're creatives, right? So we want to provide arts instruction in different disciplines. So we're looking at creative dancing, spoken word, theater, acting, media arts, visual arts, cultural practice. Our target locations. So we're mainly providing services in detention halls, day reporting centers, and educational settings. For some of you all that are probably new to the county, first of all, welcome. And those that are returning, thank you for returning. So right now we are servicing two halls. That's Barry J. Nidar and Los Padrinos. We service five camps. We have Applebaum, Joseph Page, Glen Rocky, Camp Scott, and Camp Kilpatrick. And we also service three JDRCs, or Juvenile Day Reporting Centers, Oral Heights Tech, Adams High School, and Long Beach High School. We had a partnership. We currently have a partnership with LA County Department of Probation since 2015. And the good thing about that partnership is that they allow us to provide year-round arts program through community-based arts organizations. So where does our funding come from? Many of you all may have heard the acronym JJCPA, which is Juvenile Justice Crime Prevention Act, JJRBG, a lot of acronyms. Juvenile Justice Realignment Block Grant, and all this is approved by the Juvenile Justice Coordinating Committee and the board. All right, so we have some program outcomes that we would like to accomplish, and this is aligned with LA County Regional Blueprint for Arts Education. So our first goal is to sustain and expand year-round arts instruction. So, our goal is just to sustain and expand year-round arts instruction to serve all youth in county probation camps and juvenile halls. We want to provide continuing arts education, and we want to foster creativity, self-expression, and personal growth among these youth. And we believe that consistent access to arts programming can enhance their academic and social emotional development. The second one is align in school and after school arts instruction to promote interdisciplinary project-based learning. So this approach really enriches the learning experience, but also helps students develop critical thinking and real world skills. By integrating the arts into various subjects and activities, we create educational experiences that support more of a holistic development. So our third goal is centered around providing professional development for our county staff. So who are the county staff? Probation, Department of Youth Development, and others. This training is really designed to build awareness and skills for working from an art-based trauma-informed perspective. Now, we understand the therapeutic benefits of the arts is crucial for addressing trauma and supporting the overall well-being of the youth we serve. So our goal is to offer comprehensive training, workshops, ongoing support to ensure staff are equipped to implement these practices effectively. Oh, I went too fast, you guys. 1 second. Let me go back. We get to our fourth goal. So our fourth goal is implement healing center arts data-informed strategy. And, this strategy is grounded in research and is tailored to meet the specific needs of our youth. So for us, by focusing on healing and resilience, we hope to create a positive impact that extends beyond the individual to their families and their community. Uh, the good thing about what we expect is to utilize data to refine our approach and measure the effectiveness of our intervention. All right, so these are minimum requirements. Let's start with number one. So minimum requirement is minimum 5 years of experience in the last 8 years of conducting, overseeing, or coordinating an arts instruction for youth. Many of you all on the call, I'm sure you guys qualify for that. The second bullet point is optional if applicable. Professional development for adults supporting youth. We know some orgs, this is just what they want to focus on, not so much of arts instruction for youth. So that option is available. Number two, previous experience providing arts instruction in the LA County probation facility within the last 5 years. Maybe it's not any of the facilities that we currently service, but some of you guys are providing services in other facilities. Long as if you have provided that arts instruction within the last 5 years, then you suffice number two. Number three, attendance or attestation of viewing the mandatory virtual proposal conference. So congratulations, you all have satisfied number three. You are here. For those orgs that have not or cannot attend today, no worries. We are recording this. We will post this on our site, and they can just attest that they viewed it. And lastly, if the proposal's compliance within county contract has been reviewed by the auditor controller in the last 10 years, no unresolved question costs over $100,000 that remain unpaid. But we're not worried. That's none of you all on the call anyway. All right. So let's talk about the proposal materials. We're going to break this up into two parts. First, you have services, which is 1,000 points maximum. Then we'll go over the required pool. All right. So the first one is, which is worth up to 100 points, is the statement of interest. So we would like for you to provide a statement that outlines how the RFP aligns basically with your mission, your vision, and the goals of your organization. That is a maximum of 2 pages. Second, your background and experience. Provide a summary of background information to demonstrate that the proposal meets the minimum requirements. So when you think about the minimum requirements, this is your opportunity to highlight your experience and your expertise. You may want to highlight your organizational extensive experience in delivering arts education. Maybe you want to mention key projects, programs that demonstrate your expertise in visual arts, media arts, arts technology, or the arts that you specialize in. Also, too, this is a good opportunity to mention your qualified team. Maybe you want to introduce team members who will be involved in the project. You can emphasize their quality, their qualifications, their experience. You can mention any relevant certifications, awards, or recognitions received by the orgs or your team members. Next, describe how the proposal's background align with the statement of work. This is your opportunity, for example, to provide examples of past projects that align with the scope of work. Maybe share success stories, case studies from previous projects that are similar with the scope. Maybe you want to highlight measurable outcomes and the impact of those projects. This is also a wonderful opportunity to talk about more of your organizational capacity. How do you discuss your organizational capacity to handle proposed projects, including your staff, resources, infrastructure? And maybe you want to mention any partnerships or collaborations that enhance the organization's ability to deliver the required service. And that is a maximum of 3 pages and up to 200 points. All right, a third one. Proposal's approach to providing required services. This is up to 300 points. And how will the contract work requirement be met? So if we start out with that first bullet, basically deliver healing-centered instruction. You really want to explain how these methods are tailored to foster both academic and social economic growth, and really detail how arts instruction is integrated into your overall curriculum. Sometimes you can explain your collaboration with the schools and the community organizations to ensure integration. The second bullet point, ensure teaching artists provide high quality arts instruction that are culturally responsive. Just to give you an idea, you can outline the criteria for selecting your teaching artists, emphasizing cultural competency. Maybe you can discuss ongoing training, support provided to your teaching artists to maintain high standards. You can share examples of culturally responsive lesson plans and how they engage in diverse student populations. Maybe certain initiatives that involve community and gather feedback to improve your program. And this will also be great too, like we mentioned before, to highlight partnerships with local cultural organizations and artists. The third bullet point, provide training and professional development related to artist safety and mental health issues. We all know this is a big section, right? So you could maybe detail training programs that you all have developed that are related to the safety and mental health. Within that, you can explain the importance of some of these trainings and how they support the overall well-being of the artist. Maybe examples of training modules and the outcomes of these programs. I'm sure some of you guys have additional professional development opportunities for your teaching artists. And maybe this is a great opportunity to, explain and help the artists grow in their practice and stay updated with the latest educational strategy. And last bullet point is to evaluate the services provided. These are like evaluation tool practices. And if you think about it, you can explain the tools, your methodologies used to evaluate the effectiveness of your arts instruction. You may want to discuss the qualitative metrics used to measure your academic and social emotional outcome. Maybe you want to share feedback that some of you guys have collected from teachers, students, and community members. And lastly, maybe you want to highlight any strategies that allow the program to remain responsive to the need of the youth and the community. The last option is optional. Now, that means, most of you orgs may not provide these services and some of you may. So this is centered around professional development services for adults supporting the youth in the institution. So the first bullet point, deliver professional development to as we shared before, those probation officers, mental health professionals, uh, court school classroom teachers, other facility staff that engage with the young person, and also evaluate the services provided, including a description of evaluation tool. All right, number 4. So this is worth up to 150 points. These are work samples, curriculum samples. Many of you guys have curriculum samples. You've been doing this work for years. So provide up to 3 curriculum samples. And it's just describing the learning goals and materials, equipment being used. That's very important to talk about the equipment. Some of you guys that have experience with the camps and halls, as you all know, you can only bring in so much equipment without it being flagged, once you walk into by the security team. So that's very important for us to know. What type of materials or equipment are you going to use to integrate into your instruction? Artistic samples, provide up to 3 samples produced by you. Some of you guys have been working with youth. You guys keep a catalog of their work. So please provide 3 samples. And again, this portion is optional for those that are providing professional development. If you can provide 3 professional development curriculum samples describing the learning goals, methodology, or materials being used. All right, moving on. Number 5, proposal administrative capacity. This is worth up to 150 points. First, you're talking about addressing the operational needs and management and manage the administrative functions. So just think about it as the operational management, how you could describe the organizational structure and the roles of responsibility for managing the operational needs. This is a good bullet point to really emphasize the use of advanced project management tools and system used to streamline some of your services. We talk about scheduling and coordination. This is a good moment to explain the process for effective scheduling of your classes, your workshops, and your other activities. And even it'd be great to highlight some of your scheduling software. Some of you guys use different software when you schedule and coordinating tools to ensure smooth operation. Reporting and service tracking. Discuss the system you use for accurate and timely reporting. You may want to discuss how service tracking mechanisms are implemented to monitor delivery of service and ensure compliance with the scope of work. This is a big one, of course, budget tracking and financial management. How do you keep your books? Outline, your financial management system. Some of you guys, you may use different systems than others. How do you track your budgets, manage expenses, ensure fiscal responsibility? Maybe you want to highlight the process for regular budget reviews, adjustments to stay within your financial parameters. And lastly, invoice submission and payments. And we'll talk about that later, how that has changed. Give us details on the procedure for timely invoice submission and processing. Explain your payment system in place to ensure that your teaching artists and staff are compensated promptly and accurately. The next bullet point is recruit and retain qualified teaching artists, arts coordinator, project management. Now we'll get to the arts coordinator and project manager later on in the presentation. But this is a golden opportunity to describe your recruitment strategy. How do you attract your qualified teaching artists? With the new arts coordinator role that we'll talk about later, how do you attract those arts coordinator roles? How do you attract your project management staff? This is a good time to highlight partnerships with educational institutions, art organizations, professional networks to source top talent. Maybe you guys use a staffing agency. Let us know that. Your selection process. What is your selection process? It includes interview. Does it include portfolio reviews? Does it include reference checks? To ensure that the candidate meets not only the standard of LA County, but the standard of your organization. Retention. How do you retain your staff? Discuss your organization commitment to staff retention through competitive compensation, benefits, professional development, and opportunities. Maybe you want to highlight ongoing training programs, mentorship, career advancement pathways to support your staff. And it'd be great in this section to really share examples of team building activities, recognition programs, those rewards and matrix, and employee wellness initiatives. And that is a maximum of 3 pages. All right, number 6, proposals quality control plan. Maintain a comprehensive quality control that demonstrates how to monitor the following activities: youth engagement, and well-being. So this is what we're saying is, how do you explain how your organization measures youth engagement? That's including attendance, participation levels, and qualitative feedback. This would be a great opportunity to highlight regular check-ins, mental health support, and surveys to access and address well-being. Number 2, teaching artist effectiveness. Discuss the performance matrix used to evaluate the effectiveness of teaching artists, such as, for example, student progress, engagement levels, and feedback from student and staff. This is a good opportunity to explain the use of observation protocols, peer reviews, performance appraisals. Maybe you want to describe here ongoing professional development for a teaching artist to enhance their skills. And you could highlight the use of workshops, training sessions, and mentor programs. Ensuring teaching artist safety. What are your safety protocols? Outline your safety protocols and guidelines, in place to ensure the physical and emotional safety of teaching artists. This is an opportunity to discuss the importance of a safe working environment and measures taken to prevent harassment, injury, and of course, what we all face, burnout. This is an opportunity to explain the safety training programs provided to the teaching artists, including emergency procedures, especially in the camps and halls, mental health first aid, and conflict resolution. And you may want to highlight regular safety drills and updates to safety protocols based on feedback and incident reports. All right, we got through part 1, you guys. Now we're on part 2. So there are 3 different forms that you will submit, and later on we'll go through the portal so you guys will know how to submit. Part 1, Form 1, is the attestation of compliance, standard terms and conditions. Form 2 is the proposal, debarment, history, and list of terminated contracts. And Form 3 is pending litigation and judgment. All right, this is just to sum up all the parts, part 1, part 2, and the maximum points, which is 1,000. So let's do a quick recap. Your statement of interest, 100 points. Background experience, 200. Providing required services, 300. Work samples, 150. Administrative capacity, 150. Quality control plan, 100. Part 2, compliance and litigation review. Now, this is a maximum 60-point deduction if possible. Terminated contracts, you could possibly have 40 points deducted. Litigation and judgments, possible 20 points deduction. All right, this time I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Administrative Deputy Brandon Turner. So he's going to go through SurveyMonkey. This is the portal on how you apply. We're going to Brandon streamline the process to make it as simplistic as possible, but we will walk you through the process so you guys will have an ease moving forward. So Brandon, let me stop sharing, and it is on you.
Great, thank you, Larry. Let me share a screen here. You can all see the SurveyMonkey applies. Is that what you're seeing, Larry?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so I dropped the link into SurveyMonkey Apply. This is the system that Arts and Culture uses for RFPs. We also use it as a grants management system. And it's a SurveyMonkey product, so it's intended to be as user-friendly as it can be. I'll walk through kind of the basics, but when you go to the website, you get here and just a little bit of information, preferred browsers that you want to take note of. And if you need some help, SM Apply tech support is really good. So if you don't have an account already, you'll need to register. And that's pretty basic. We all have a million passwords to different websites. So find a good password and don't lose it. But this will get you an account. We'll switch. Once you have an account, you'll be able to log into the system, and it will bring you to a page that looks like this. And right now, because I'm new to the system, I don't have any applications to anything. So I want to see what opportunities are available. So I can go to View Programs, and I can see right now there's a grant opportunity that we have open right now. The request for the RFP for youth and institutions. And here's a preview. We are also launching a RFP for youth and communities actually this afternoon. So that will be here. You can click on this, get some really basic information about the program. This is all a repeat of what's been included in the RFP document, but here as a reference. Then you hit apply. I'll add that there, and then create application. And SurveyMonkey Apply walks you through each of the pieces. So these are called tasks, and you have to complete each task before it lets you submit. And I'll just go into it really quickly. But there's some basic questions that are in here. So asking about eligibility. This is the minimum requirements. Does the proposer have a minimum of 5 years? So you can fill out yes or no. Here, I'll just do yeses for this now. I'm going to delete this later, so. Of course, they're particular. And then you can mark that as complete. And it will warn you, you missed a question. And then it wants the better email address. You can see that it's still asking for the phone number, but you get the idea here. Let's see if we can get it as complete. And it will show you check mark that you've complete. You have to complete all of the tasks here to get this done. I'll go into services. This is the one where you're going to spend most of your time. As Larry said, he gave you kind of page limits. So you can upload either Word docs or PDFs to this to support your response to the RFP in each one of these backgrounds. And it's the same as usual. You find your document, add it. And once you have all your documents, you again go down to next, and then it will give you a prompt to mark as complete. And you go through it, and then finally, once you've gone through all the pieces, this submit button here will light up. So then you can officially submit the proposal through our portal here. It will give you a email saying that you have submitted the proposal and that we have it, so that you have a confirmation. But overall, the system is very easy to use. We have over 400 grant applicants use it every year. Yeah, there is that. I'll hand it back to you, Larry. And when we get to question and answer period, if there are questions on SM Apply, I can certainly field those.
And thank you, Brandon, again for streamlining that process to make it simple. And for those that had contracts in the past, we've taken your feedback. We've taken feedback from staff on how, in the past, it was a little bit cumbersome to fill out SM Apply. So thank you, Brandon and team, for simplifying that process. All right. Here's the fun part, program changes. Can everyone see the slide that says program changes? Are we good?
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
program changes. Um, Definitely different than those who are currently contracted now, moving forward when we execute the new contracts. Uh, so first, again, these program changes are based on the feedback that the team has received. And again, as a county, we want to get better every year, and we can only get better when we incorporate the community's voice. So, with your voice, here are the changes that we made. Establish reliable system for scheduling, tracking, invoicing, monitoring. Streamline the rate to schedule to simplify budget and accounting. We'll go more in detail. Provide more financial resources to deliver high quality service and manage administration, and ensure compliance with state, local regulations and county policy. So these are the two major changes that we're making for the new contracts compared to now. So we created two additional roles. The first role is arts coordinator. Second role is project manager. So let's talk about the arts coordinator. Um, Here are their functions. So the arts coordinator ensures that the teaching artists receive uh, necessary assistance, enabling them to focus on delivering effective programming. Now, as you guys can see, we'll talk about in the next slide the actual cost, what we pay per hour. But when we talk about the arts coordinators, you can see it is $100 an hour. But we'll go in more detail on the next slide. But here is the benefit of having the arts coordinator. You're talking about operational support for the teaching artists. They can assist with setup and breakdown of activities, which streamlines logistical process and ensure that the sessions run smoothly. This support also includes documentation of activities. As we all know, that is very crucial for tracking programs and outcomes. The arts coordinator also help with youth engagement. They engage youth effectively to maintain their interest and involvement throughout the program. And they interface with probation staff. They're a liaison between the arts program and probation staff. As you all know, when you're in the Campson Hall, you have to coordinate, work with probation staff. You have probation staff in the room while you're delivering those services. Also, to safety monitoring. The arts coordinator can definitely help with environments like camps and halls because we all know that safety is paramount. The coordinator can monitor safety protocols during art activities, address any concerns promptly, and ensure a secure environment for all participants, meaning the teaching artists, the youth, and the probation officers. And lastly, another benefit of the arts coordinator is reporting and accountability. By recording activities and monitoring progress, the arts coordinator provides valuable data for reporting purposes. And this definitely helps in demonstrating the impact of arts program and justifying its continuation and expansion. So that's the benefit of the newfound position of the arts coordinator. Now let's move on. Let me go back. Moving too fast. So now let's move on to the project manager role. So we added this role again based on your feedback. So the role of the project manager is, especially in the context of involving youth in programs and halls, it offers so many benefits. You see four here, but when we talk about contract management and oversight, right? So this includes overseeing the scope of work, timelines, budgets, more importantly, ensuring compliance with LA County. And this oversight helps maintaining accountability and achieving program goals on time and within budget. Another benefit of the project manager is staff and coordinator management. So they manage staff, scheduling of staff, scheduling of teaching artists, arts coordinator. The project manager also focuses on resource allocation, ensuring that the right personnel are available for each program session. This role helps in avoiding scheduling conflict that ensures consistent program delivery. The project manager will help with training and support. They ensure that staff and teaching artists receive adequate training. They coordinate training sessions on, as we talked about before, safety protocols, curriculum development. How do your curriculum remain relevant today? It worked 2 years ago or it worked 6 months ago, but guess what? This is a different audience. This is a different crowd, a different location. So how do we tailor that curriculum to meet those young folks? Data collection methods, supervised and technical support. So the project manager will supervise staff and provide technical support. This includes overseeing safety protocols to make sure a secure environment, contributing to curriculum development, as we talked about, and facilitating data collection for program evaluation. And lastly, more importantly, is timely invoicing and financial management. Um, we know in the past, based on feedback, this has been a challenge, of course, due to possibly turnover rate, changes in staff as far as invoicing being submitted on a quarterly basis. But we'll talk about on the next slide the changes on that. But the good thing about the project manager role is that they can assist in that area. So they can ensure that, those invoices are submitted on time. As we all know, this is very crucial for financial health and cash flow. So they'll play a major role in managing this process, ensuring that financial transactions related to the contract are accurately documented and submitted. All right, as we talked about before. So some of the fees have changed. So we have three new line items. So the project manager will pay $250 a session. We know some sessions are an hour, 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours or 3 hours. Teaching artists, previously, we paid teaching artists $100 an hour. Well, now, congratulations, you all have earned a raise. So now we will compensate you $175 for the teaching artist. And for the arts coordinator, it is $100 an hour. And of course, that includes the 15% indirect cost rate to cover general operational and administrative expenses. We are so happy to bring on board Connect Team. The technology support in the past, we utilized what we call participation logs or PLOG. This is where they utilize Excel. And when the teaching artists would go into the facility, they would keep a tab on the students. Sometimes they may keep the ethnicities, but this was their way of keeping tabs on the attendance. So now we've kind of upgraded a little bit. So Connect Teams is an app on your phone that you use so we can get attendance live and we can get it instantaneously. We know who the teaching artist is. We know the probation officers that were stationed in the classroom. And we know how many students actually attend because we need that information because we need to know if you need to be compensated. How do we know? Well, we need to know if you were first there and we need to know if students have shown up. Usually what we've done in the past, we have to wait on a quarterly basis to get that information every 3 months. But with the new contracts, no more. We can pull the information at any moment, anytime. So that has definitely simplified the process. Other administrative changes, as I mentioned before, currently we're on a quarterly basis to submit your invoices. We're going to transition to a monthly basis. We're looking at after the month, possibly a 15-day grace period, but our goal is that we strongly recommend by the first of every month, if you can have your invoices ready. Another best practice is if you're providing 2 services a week for 4 weeks in that month, already have your invoices pre-populated. If there's any changes, just go back to the invoice and delete it. It makes life a lot easier. We have recommended this best practice to our current org, and it has definitely worked. Now we require an additional sexual misconduct insurance, and we require that all personnel be employees of the organization. All right. So this is our event timeline. So today again, thank you all for coming. You have attended the proposals conference. Now, again, even though this says mandatory, it is mandatory one or two ways. You attend here virtually or you watch the recording. Written questions due. So that means if you guys have questions, we'll give you guys the email on where to submit those questions. But that's due on 7/19, July 19th at 5 p.m. So if you guys have questions now that you probably didn't think of, and you're thinking, you know what, I should have asked that question, let me write that down, please submit. And again, we'll give you the email address to let you know where to submit it. We will release those questions and answers on July 25th. Now, we have to release them on our site. And the reason we release them on our site on this day is because of equity. You know, we can't have one org to ask us questions and we just cater to that one org. And then another org finds out that we've answered so many questions for this one. And they say, well, what about us? So we want to uplift equity in our practice. So we're going to release the question and answer on July 25th. Now, the next event, which is in bold, the proposals are due. The portal that Brandon talked about, all the different tips that I talked about, of course, with part 1, part 2 of all the documents that need to be submitted. So they're due July 30th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So please make sure that you get those proposals in. Anticipated notification to proposals once you submit, we're looking at 9/4, and the anticipated contract start date, October 1st. All right. So this is just a reminder. You guys have received the email blast, which is why you're here. But just to let you know, we still have the call for consultants for arts and instruction for youth in institutions. Again, just want to reiterate, the deadline is Tuesday, July 30th. We're going to put the link in the chat just in case you guys may have missed it, just in case your email may have went to junk or spam. We'll put the link back in the chat. All right, we made it. So we are now, we made it to our question and answer portion. And I can stop sharing for now. All right. So if you have any questions for us, please again use the raise hand function and we will try our best to answer. Lots of questions. Let's see, who do we have first? And Brandon or you or team, you can call out.
Yeah,
Mr. Doug, I think Doug was first.
Yeah.
Hi there, this is Amanda and Doug from Alliance for Community Empowerment.
Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for all the information today. We had a couple of questions. It sounds like organizations to be eligible need to have experience providing arts instruction for youth in probation facilities. So not arts instruction for youth in other facilities, and those youth are on probation in the community. We actually need to have the experience within facilities.
That is correct, within facilities. And Heather and Brandon, please chime in. Yeah, just within facilities, going through dealing with some of the protocols. We just want to make sure you're familiar with the protocols, the rules, the regulations, and the compliance within those camps and halls. Go ahead, Heather.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yes, experience in county probation facilities is required. Earlier, though, when Brandon was clicking through the SM Apply, we are opening an RFP for community work in communities. So I'd encourage you to take a look at that. It's a very similar proposal. So you can take a look and see, but that requires experience in community-based settings.
Understood. Okay. And our teaching artist kind of specializes in just visual arts. The way the RFP was sort of written, it sounded like you wanted like a breadth of kind of arts mediums, or is, yeah, would this one work?
I can, yeah. So we're sorry, I'll go ahead and jump in. We're looking for a breadth across a number of contracts. So it's not that one organization needs to have the breadth, but that we are looking to engage a diverse set of organizations with different disciplines.
Okay, and would it be prohibitive if the staff are on probation, on parole, have a history of justice system involvement themselves?
That is not a limiting factor. There is a probation background check that does need to be passed. So that's part of the process of getting clearance into the probation facilities. And that's something we can, that's really all the information I have now, but once we get to that point, could provide some more information about the protocol of working with probation.
Okay, and very last question. I know in the RFP, there were a long list of facilities that services could be provided in. Was the expectation that organizations or that an organization provide services in all of those, in any of those that are geographically close to them? Kind of what was the expectation there?
I'll keep going. Larry, you jump in, you correct me if
Yeah,
I'm saying
sure,
anything
sure,
wrong,
sure.
or anyone else. I think that is a conversation. Once the contracts are executed and the agreements are in place, then the work of staff is to meet with probation, to meet with the contractors, decide what where the good fits are in terms of what probation's looking for, what the youth in that facility are looking for, and what the different contractors can provide. And in terms of geographic location, that can also be part of the conversation. So there's going to be, in other words, the contract will lay out that we have a relationship, and then there will be subsequent agreements, site agreements that will lay out the specific assignments.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
And just for the sake of time, if we can possibly, because I know we're over 2:15, some of you have to leave, you could definitely, I will put the email that you can address your questions to in the chat. But if we can just keep the questions one, so we can make sure everyone with their hand raised, we can answer the questions. All right, so I believe next is Mayman. I hope I'm pronouncing
It's
correctly.
Maman.
Maman, how are you?
Thank you all. I'm from Justice for My Sister. I'm just going to ask one question then, which is, in the roles that you mentioned in the RFP, it seems like you are looking for a programs manager who also does the reporting and the compliance. But in our organization, those two roles are separate. We have a programs manager that does the programming, and I'm the grants manager who takes care of reporting and compliance. Is that okay, or do you need one person who gets paid whatever it was to do both of the jobs? Thank you.
I can jump in on that. Is that we know organizations are all structured different. We do need a primary contact that will be kind of a counterpart to our project manager, but how the work gets done in the background, as long as the work is getting done, we're okay with role splitting and things like that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rika.
Hi, so I just wanted to be clear. So my particular organization has not worked inside facilities, but we have teachers, working artists who have worked with us who have. So we have not gone into the facilities, but they are now wanting to go back and do more work. They've done a lot of work, and some have gotten awards and all that. So do we qualify for this particular grant, knowing that they have done work within the last 5 years in facilities, and they would be the ones that would be going and doing the work? It's not dance and dialogue has not, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right. As an organization, you've not formally provided it. What many of the teaching artists in your cadre have that experience.
Yes, and they're ready to, they have expressed interest in expanding our programs into the facilities.
And
Yeah.
Rika, have they been in the institution within the past year?
within the, I think it said them within the past 5 years. And yes, and not just in LA, also in New York. One of them has was in New York as well. And then but also in LA. So yeah, they have a between the small group of instructors that I have that have done it, yes, they've been working over the last 5 years. They did work within the last 5 years.
What I will say to that is, if you're interested in applying, I can't give you a definitive answer right now. But how you put in your proposal and demonstrate that the teaching artist, the primary teaching artist, have that experience, and what that experience is in relation to LA County and LA County probation, that would be my advice. Put that in, and that would help us sort through making a judgment just based on a quick description. I don't want to do that.
Right, no, that makes sense. And we have partnerships with HJN and some other organizations. So, okay, I just wanted to be clear before I go through all the paperwork. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And
Jasmine.
There. Hi, good afternoon. Hope everyone's doing well. I just had a couple questions very quick. In terms of the sample work that is to be uploaded, the curriculum for PD and programming makes sense, but I did have a question about the requirements for the sample work. I noticed in the portal we can upload either Word or PDF. Is there a file size limit or a DPI that we should be abiding by? I'm sorry, I felt like I wasn't able to find that info, so thank you.
There's a file limit of a gig, so I think you're good. And there's no DPI requirement.
Okay.
Just upload something that displays the work as best as it can.
Great. And then sort of part B to that, are we able to submit like a clickable sort of unlisted link that we would put on a PDF? Is that something that you would?
Typically not. No, we want to see it demonstrated within the proposal itself.
Okay, thank you so much. And then just one more quick question. I believe it was mentioned that everyone involved must be employed by the organization. Are we referring to just office administrative staff, or does that include artists who would be either full-time or part-time on payroll, or is that just relative to admin staff?
And that applies to teaching artists, arts coordinators, and the project management to have that relationship as an employer-employee.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. I think it stacks them up in order here. So I think Molly was next.
Hi, yeah, I wanted to know if the narrative should be single or double spaced.
That's a great question. What demonstrates best your work best? We have no hard formatting rules.
Awesome. Okay, and then do we need to prove insurance or budget at this stage?
Not at this stage.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's Carol next.
Carol?
Hi, yes, I think actually, hi everybody. I think my question was just answered in your answer to the previous lady, but I had my hand up and waited my turn, so I'm gonna ask to confirm because maybe it wasn't, I'm hoping. The requirement within the institution, did I hear it has to be LA County, it can't be Miami-Dade?
Yeah, we need because the particular environment that LA County probation has, we're requiring that it is LA County probation experience.
Okay, thank you.
And Carol, also based on our funding source as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, this is Rashid. The question I have, well, I guess I just wondering about the rationale about the past 8 years, because we did a lot of work, I would say 10 years worth of work at places like Afflebaugh Page and Barry J. Nidoff and a bunch of places like that. But we kind of transitioned away from working solely in that realm of probation Now we haven't within the last 8 years, but we have a long resume that. So is there a rationale for why only in the past 8 years? That's the question.
Take that one.
Go for it, Christopher.
The environment has changed dramatically, even in the past few years.
Really?
Post-COVID,
Mhm.
the youth themselves, the needs, so many things have transitioned that we find it important that within that 5-year period, you're going to get a better purview of the environment that you're entering in. Whereas even for myself, 10 years ago, programming in the camps and halls looks completely different than it does now. So we just want to make sure that a person is truly prepared for the current environment as much as possible, as opposed to an environment that may look completely different 10 years ago.
Right. Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem.
We still encourage you to apply.
And if you do this one, as we said earlier, the communities one looks substantially similar. So there's a lot of cut and paste to the next one if you're interested in delivering work in communities. We did this deliberately because we know that these take time for people.
Okay, Jewel.
Hi, this Jewel, I just want to make sure.
Yep, Jewel Jackson.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, good afternoon, and thank you so much for this informative webinar. We really appreciate the information. So I've got a question regarding our team. We also, as an organization, have not necessarily participated in the juvenile detention centers, but we have participated actually in CDCR as an organization, and several of our teaching staff team has gone into the juvenile detention centers. So I'm not sure if it's the same information or if there's anything additional, but I just wanted to get clarification on that.
What is CDCR, just for clarification?
Oh, that's the adult prisons. And we've worked at both level 2 in North, or I don't know why I can't say it right now. Norco, in Norco prison, which is a level 2, and also Lancaster, which is a level 4. So we literally had participants in our classes who had lifetime sentences. So we have definitely worked in restricted facilities, but as an overall organization, we haven't worked in juveniles. And so we just wanted any type of instruction in regards to that, because we just, obviously want to state what our experiences are, and they're not in the LA County juvenile system, but in the state correctional system. But we do have one staff who has actually done the juvenile system as well.
Maybe Chris, you could back me up, but again, please, we encourage y'all to apply, but I know there's a big difference between the adult versus the young people, which is why we specifically stated youth and institutions. Christopher, go ahead.
Yes, it definitely does not in any way discount or discredit the experience that your organization has acquired working with the adult population, because that has its own set of complications and complexities that we absolutely want to recognize. But there are distinct differences in the needs of the youth in institution as opposed to adults. There is sometimes a huge difference in the maturity level, as you know, that a youth that is needing this type of engagement may not be as open and willing to accept it as an adult who has a bit more self-awareness, if you will. It doesn't, again, it doesn't discount the experience, but we do want to make sure that there is a true recognition of the distinction between providing these services in institution with adults as opposed to youth. And we've had many organizations that have made that transition successfully, might I add. but they did express the tremendous amount of work it took to make that transition and scale those services to the youth population.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you. In that regard, I just want to make sure that I'm also clarifying. Is there a bridge? I see that the RFP for the community-based programming will open today at 3. But is there a bridge for organizations who we do community-based work regularly throughout the community? We did, as I said, have the opportunity to work with the state correctional system, but are definitely interested in helping justice impacted youth who are currently in the system. Is there some type of bridge program that can help organizations that do have that interest in expanding their programming into that? Or is this just not, or is it whoever has already done it will continue, and other organizations just will not be able to get into them? Is there no bridge, or is there a bridge? That's the question.
I think I can say there's no bridge currently, or limited opportunities for bridges. But there's definitely like an acknowledgement that, like Christopher just said, the additional, I'll say, like support, technical assistance, professional development is necessary for organizations to like make those pivots. And it's something that we're interested in. It's just not something we can address right at this moment, but it is part of our conversations and discussions. And so that's the only answer that I can provide at this moment, with our focus on continuing services in probation camps and halls. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add to that. Okay. Thank you for the question, though. It's much appreciated. Yeah.
Thank you, Jewel. Jane.
Oh, I think there was Pablo first.
Oh, Pablo, sorry.
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Jasmine already asked this, but I just want to further clarify. When it talks about, everyone in the contract being an employee-employer relationship, including the teaching artists, does that mean an actual employer-employee relationship, or does it also apply to independent contractors?
Yeah, it's an employee-employer relationship. Part of it's an equity thing, part of it's a safety thing, is that we're looking at our risk management at the county has advised us this is a good way to go, because employers have to provide workers' comp. There's lots of protections that teaching artists will get as part of that. So this is the direction we're moving in. Also, state AB5, I know many have been dealing with that. So that's one of the other considerations that's come out of this.
Understood. Thank you for clarifying, Brandon.
Yep. And I think it's Jane. Yeah.
Yes. Hi. So my questions are regarding invoicing and the payment of the contract, given that there's a potential to have significant ramp-up costs with a project manager and onboarding and training of staff. Have there been discussions, or is there an expectation that there will be some of the contract awarded in advance so that we can do those? That's my first question. And I have another question.
We don't have that mechanism as part of county government. So unfortunately, for a direct services contract like this, we are unable to do that.
Okay.
But we understand, and part of why we've moved from a quarterly to a monthly is so that there's not a 4-month delay from when you start expending money to when you receive the check.
Thank you. That makes sense. My second question is related. I did see that there's monthly invoicing. Historically, what is the timeline track record of the county for paying that in a timely manner so that we aren't confronted with such cash flow issues?
Yeah, and this is my wheelhouse as the admin guy.
Awesome, thank you.
The county has a net 30 policy. However, we have worked with the auditor controller to speed that up so that we're not waiting the net 30. When they get it, they'll pay it. So usually it's under 30 days if all of the requirements of the invoice have been met. Sometimes there's other issues, but we'll keep you abreast of that. But generally, it's under 30 days.
Great, thank you. I have one last question on staffing, and it'll be fast, I swear. So our organization has typically had 2 teaching artists in a classroom. Is this, under this contract, are we expected to have 1 teaching artist and 1 arts coordinator, or can we bill for 2 teaching artists in a classroom?
At the very minimum, it's a 1 teaching artist, 1 coordinator, but some part of how we've designed these new contracts is to be able to scale up. Sometimes you might need 3 teaching artists, sometimes you need 4, but that's the matchmaking process that our staff will be doing with the organization on contract to figure out how can we provide the services best to the youth. So there's actually much more flexibility in this version of the contract.
Fantastic, thank you so much.
And just for the sake of time, this will be the last one. Inspire Flow Arts.
Hi, thanks for taking the question. Could you let us know if the community's RFP will also require an employer-employee relationship?
It will, yes.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you guys so much for attending. We really appreciate it. In the chat, I put the email address that you will submit your questions to, and we will reply to those questions and post them on the appropriate date. Again, on behalf of myself, LA County Arts and Culture, we really appreciate it. We know some of you probably will be on the community side, so we'll probably see you again. So again, thank you all so much, and you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Good to see you.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Will the recording be sent to us in a link?
So the recording will be placed on the site.
Thank you.
No problem.